So we're gonna give a few thoughts on Terror Train 1980. Just checked it out for the first time.
It's a little bit better than average with the gore.
You're freaking terrible.
No, you're terrible, so shut up. So it's a little bit average with the gore. A little bit above average.
This is so
with the,
bad. Okay, no, the opening scene, it's like they pull the prank and they're all freshmen and like the nerds are like wearing their freshman beanies like John Boy style.
And you can't even really tell what the hell's going on, but the gist of it is they pull a prank on the nerd and he turns out psychotic afterwards because he can't handle the pressure of what happened to him.
No, he has a psychotic breakdown and they decided to show it in the gayest way possible.
Yeah, in the way that you can't even tell what the hell's going on.
I mean, no horror fan like that even likes that scene, I swear to God.
It's kind of like a dull audio, and like it's just kind of filler, so you're like not even really paying attention, so then you just miss like what the hell happened in the beginning scene.
And then it cuts forward 3 years later, and it's end up on the train party, as we know.
3 years later, like, hey, we're college seniors, and you're like, okay.
And it's their graduation party or whatever. Jamie Lee Curtis, she did so many freaking horror movies from 78 until 81.
She looked pretty butt ugly in this one too.
And,
there's like a scene where she's like sitting down with another dude and she looks exactly like the dude and they both look like girls and look like dudes.
Alright, we'll get to that.
We'll get to that. But so in the first, so they're all loading the train up, all the conductors are all getting on the train. And there's someone who's like got a sword stabbed into him. It's the first person dead, and everybody thinks it's a joke. They're like, "Oh, good one!" And he's like the last one getting out, and they just leave him.
Yeah, half the deaths they cut off short, and then the other half are pretty above average, gore-wise for that era. And the first death is like what? It's like the
guy with the blade.
Yeah, then the second one is the black guy in the lizard outfit. They killed the black guy second.
So you start to see the killer actually walk around.
No, the lizard. He like looks
mask.
more. He probably looks more like the lizard than the lizard's gonna look like in the Amazing Spider-Man this summer.
Yeah, so it's a black guy dressed in a green lizard suit, and he freaking starts.
Like
he starts a conversation.
Like the Black Kingpin in Daredevil 03.
I know. So he starts a conversation.
That's like Christopher Lee playing Fu Manchu.
He starts a conversation with the killer, and he's like, "Oh, you want something to drink, man?" And he comes over, and he's like, "Oh, I got some alcohol." And then he ends up killing the black guy, like off camera, or he smashes his head on
raw Rob Zombie style.
And it cuts away. Rob Zombie style.
What up? No, then it's like the party that they throw for they're like graduating from college or whatever. The party that they throw is like for 8th graders basically.
No, they're just all acting like 8th graders throughout this college party.
No, they actually hire a magician, David Copperfield, as we know, as the. Alright, you know what? I hate you, Horror Squad, for making me watch this movie. It was so much filler.
Yeah, it was pretty boring.
Nah, I'm kidding. It was above. I'm gonna get to the. I really like the villain, the ending. No, once you like stick it out, if you haven't seen this before, you gotta stick it out through like the middle part. Expect
because
like
the
conductor
is all the dry dead nothing.
And the killer's like cleaning up bodies because he's clever, psychotic, and then it's just the old guy Ben Johnson filler looking up.
And then the conductor finds like his dead, mutilated body with all the blood everywhere in the bathroom of the
Try and stay
lizard.
awake.
And you're like, okay, it's getting interesting. He found the first body, and then he tells the other conductor, and they go back there, and it's all cleaned up. And he's like, oh, he's just a drunk guy. Like they switched.
Even though there was like
the freaking killer found a drunk guy and switched their clothes.
Even though there was like enough blood on the sink to feed a vampire.
I know, and then they don't even talk about it. Like he's like, oh, I guess it was just a drunk kid. Even though there's blood everywhere and handprints.
No, then it's just like extra. No, then it's like extra filler and.
It was like corn syrup blood, not even fixed right. It was too bright.
They do the magician tricks like in pitch dark, and there's so much dark shots of absolutely nothing.
A filler where they're walking.
Of course,
around,
B-movie Mike like overrates this movie to hell. He doesn't warn you of the boringness in the middle. And Jamie Lee Curtis is ugly as hell in it. Like,
to the final.
she was like overworked in that era. She was like in between like The Fog and like Prom Night.
But then the freaking climax, though, that it
Speaking
gets
of Prom Night, that had another girly villain in that. Just like in this.
That was kind of weird. But nah, towards the climax later on in the film when they catch him and it's like freaking Jamie Lee Curtis and the conductor and he like freaking nails him with the shovel.
Okay, yeah, so they reveal that it's the nerd that they pulled the prank on getting revenge.
And right before that scene is when it's the filler of when they meet, Jamie Lee Curtis and they're sitting down, they both look like dudes. And they both look like chicks.
I know, Jamie Lee Curtis looks more like a freaking dude than he does.
Yeah,
he looks like Mick Jagger and Gaspard Ulliel's illegitimate son.
Or a good way to describe it.
He's a combination of the Hannibal Rising in the prequel, the guy who played Hannibal Rising, the French actor, mixed with Mick Jagger.
The best way to describe it to most idiots out there is he just looks like a chick that looks like a dude. Or a dude that looks like a chick.
And he wants to like Jamie Lee to kiss him, and you're like, who's the dude and who's the chick?
Exactly. Nah, so then they nail him. The conductor, he's like, who's supposed to be asking for people's tickets, but he never does. He nails him with a shovel.
He wouldn't be asking for the tickets, you jackass. They like rented the whole
party, so they already checked all.
It was a different era. They like rented trains for parties back then.
There's no stowaways.
There's no electronics and
so he
other
nails
things
him with
to
the
do back
freaking
then.
shovel. He goes out while they're passing over a bridge, and he goes way down. It's all snow, and he falls right into the creek.
Oh yeah, it's almost like an 90s action movie ending, but it's pretty dope how they film it.
Horror,
and it like actually looks like a dead body like falling like onto the ground. It looks
right
dope.
into the river.
Oh yeah, and then the river catches him right through it. Oh yeah, then he's just like
pretty good shot.
He delivers some pretty sinister lines. He plays a pretty good psychotic for the ending. I've seen a lot of 80s slasher movies.
If you like cross-dressing.
You know what they need to do is make another Hannibal. I heard they're making a Hannibal Lecter freaking TV show, but what they need to do is make another movie with onto Hannibal Rising. Like, see, remember how that he ends up in Canada and that's how he gets to the U.S. That's how the 2007 movie ends, the prequel. Yeah, they definitely need to make another one of that. Anyway, Jamie Lee Curtis sucks, in the words of Darnell.
Well, overall, I think I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah, 7. It doesn't deserve more than that because of all the filler in between. They could have used a lot more clever dialogue and they could have made the story a lot more darker. Like David Copperfield could have been the nerd's brother or something, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
and they could have done that tie-in.
Shit just gets too much dead air in there.
But for that era, 1980 was really good gore.
And it's too much immature, like, talk with all the extras, until the final, like, actual scenes. It's just, like, insulting.
Exactly, and this is JBM and L-Mid from Mr. Creepshow 09. Leave your comments on this movie. I know a lot of people have seen this. Shout out to Horror Squad Live and Edit Pro TV, Matt.